Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Hughes, and today my persuasive speech is going to be on why I believe we should take away employer payroll tax for small businesses. So essentially, when you get a paycheck, you can see that taxes were taken out of it. These taxes can include federal tax, Social Security tax, Medicare tax, and potentially state income tax depending on the state that you live in. For example, I know that California requires you pay a state income tax, while a state such as Tennessee, where I currently live, does not require that state income tax. So it is a nice savings at the end of the day. But what a lot of people don't know is that your employer is going to match a lot of those taxes that you pay, and they're going to pay them too, simply just to have you employed. By definition, according to John Olson on taxfoundation.com, payroll taxes are taxes paid on the wages and salaries of employees. These taxes are used to finance social insurance programs such as Social Security and Medicare. However, again, I believe that this tax can harm small businesses and limit their ability to do a variety of things for their business, which include scaling their business, paying their employees a higher and a lot of the times more well-deserved wage, as well as prevent the business from being able to hire an ample workforce staff to aid in either company growth, preventing their current staff from being overworked. All in all, just it can hinder a business growth-wise, because again, they are paying this extra tax just to have you on payroll. I'm hoping that by the end of my speech, my audience will understand the social and economic benefits that would come from eliminating employer payroll taxes for small businesses. And I do want to add that a small business would be considered a business that grosses $400,000 or less a year. So now I kind of want to go over, again, my state employer tax laws because myself and my boyfriend are self-employed. So as our own employees, we pay both the employee payroll tax as well as the employer side of that as well. Kind of just going over our business a little bit. He runs a lot of the logistics. I do a lot of back-end work, including bookkeeping, advertisement, product research, stuff like that. So all in all, we do different things for the business, but we actually pay ourselves the same wage. So again, since we pay ourselves, which we have to, and I'll go into that more, we pay both employee tax as well as employer. I want to use the numbers generated from my last pay stub to demonstrate exactly what was paid. So as an employee, this last pay period, which we are paid bi-weekly, I personally paid $377 in federal income tax, about $178 in Social Security taxes, and $41 for Medicare. Now, as my own employer, I am going to pay an employer tax as well. It technically comes out of the business's profit, but it touches our income because it's our business. So as my own employer, my business for me paid $178 for Social Security as well. They matched what I paid, and then they also matched the $41 for Medicare. And again, since my boyfriend makes the same amount that I do, he paid the same amount as an employee, and as our own employer, we paid for him as well. So that means that our business paid just about $438 for that pay period just to employ ourselves. So in total, we're paying almost $900 a month just to have ourselves on the books. And I also kind of want to add too that the money that we are using to pay ourselves has already also been taxed federally as the business's income. So it comes in first as the business's income. We're taxed on that, and then the remainder of the money that we didn't pay in taxes, some of it floats down for payroll, and then we pay taxes on that dollar again. So I personally just think it's kind of teeters the line of double taxation, which, is supposed to be illegal, but it's something that kind of bothers me just because it does take away from our business. So in kind of going back to more in general for small businesses out there, this is something that every small business goes through to pay their employees, And I do want to add that I understand that these are very important taxes, and they go to services that are essential for our society, such as Social Security and Medicare. But they also greatly affect small businesses who may not qualify for tax breaks that larger corporations do. And kind of going more into that, so it could be argued that, well, it's not fair for larger businesses to still have to pay the employer taxes. But I want to add that a lot of these larger businesses have accumulated a lot of write-offs that really help offset the cost of the employer taxes that they're paying to employ their surplus, a lot of times 100+ employees. These write-offs can include writing off company vehicles. They may have some large real estate write-offs, and you can also write off your assets. And as you know, small businesses don't typically have the income to have these assets to write off, so it doesn't offset our taxes as much. And if you don't know, a write-off being, let's say you have a vehicle that, like a bus, you own a bus business, you can write off those vehicles, and it does help you save pretty significantly on taxes every, yearly or quarter, however that works for your large business. And some may try to argue that small business owners can just not pay themselves. Well, and again, in our instance, we are the only employees. So according to an article written by Stephen Fisherman on collective.com, the IRS actually requires S Corp, which is the type of business we have. There's LLC, C Corp, S Corp. We're S Corp, and it's just the only reason is for tax purposes. It saves us the most money in the end. But again, the IRS requires S Corp shareholder employees, meaning that we both own the business and we work it, to pay themselves in a reasonable employee salary. So basically, the IRS can recharacterize your distributions as salary and require payment of back payroll taxes and penalties if you do not have yourselves on payroll. So again, we could say we don't want to employ ourselves because we don't want to pay the employer side of the tax, but the IRS can catch wind and say, okay, well, you started this business a year ago and you haven't been paying yourself. You're required to, work with your accountant, figure out what your salary would have been this whole time, and pay all of the back taxes on that plus penalties. And this is actually something that we did experience. We had our business for about 6 months before we were on the books, and we got some accounting help, and we learned that we were not allowed to do that, and we paid a very large sum in back payroll taxes. So ultimately, small businesses make up a very large part of the workforce, and I can almost guarantee that someone in your family or friend is employed by a small business. So if we were to eliminate the employer side of the payroll taxes for these small businesses, it could mean wage increases for somebody that it can mean that the company can hire more people. Like, let's say you're employed by a small business and you feel really overworked because the business isn't properly staffed. If you were to get rid of those employer payroll taxes, your boss maybe could hire 2 or 3 more employees, and the job would get done much more efficiently. So all in all, I just believe that eliminating the employer payroll tax will greatly benefit society as a whole, again, because small businesses do make up so much of our workforce, and I hope that you can agree with me. Thank you, guys.